Hello and welcome to physics. Today we're going to continue with our emphasis on strategic reading, and we're going to look at the SQ4R strategy as we go through to the next two chapters, which is magnetic force on a current and electric motors. So first things first, what are the objectives of this lesson? Firstly, to apply the SQ4R strategy. Secondly, to discover more about magnetic force and the current and electric motors. So what is the SQ4R strategy? It consists of 6 parts, a S, a Q, and 4 R's, hence the 4R. Okay, and the letters stand for number 1 to survey, number 2 to question, number 3 to read, number 4 to retrieve, number 5 to record, and number 6 to rehearse. Okay, so what does that mean? In survey, the purpose is of this is to get the big picture idea of what the content is about. So once we've surveyed, we move over to questioning. The purpose of turning the content into questions is that is an excellent way for deep processing to take place. Now, guys, we are curious by nature. By making questions of the things that we're going to look at, our brain automatically starts looking for answers, and that helps us to understand the deep processing that speaks of, to have a deeper understanding and to build up our knowledge much firmer or much stronger in the topic. Then we start reading for the answers. The purpose is to engage actively to read the text to gain meaning and not just to skim through it or to passively glance over. And then once we've done reading, we retrieve. So in reading, we don't write down our answers. We just read to find the answers. Then in the retrieving step, the purpose is to retrieve from your working memory. So this is where you answer it in your own words. Now, if you cannot answer your questions from section 2 in your own words, you go back to the reading phase and read again until you can retrieve the answers, basically put it in your own words. And once you can retrieve your answers, you start recording your answers. The purpose is to record the content in your own words and an organized, systematic way. So you kind of summarize the work as you've now understood it yourself and in your own words. And then later, when we get to rehearsing, that's the purpose. Is a step is to simulate deep processing by critical probing for gaps. So what we do is we look at where is gaps in our understanding, and then we repeat the process from reading, retrieving, recording until we don't have any gaps anymore. Okay, so we're going to start with surveying. Today's lesson is going to consist of survey, questioning, and reading. So I'm going to demonstrate to you guys. If we go to the section or unit 9.05, you'll see the page there in your textbook. We can go there. Now, this is a new section of work. You haven't done this before, and we're going to go through it. So the first thing that we do with survey is we look at the headings, we look at the subheadings, the pictures, the words in bold, and the side notes. So firstly, we look at the heading. The heading is magnetic force on a current, and we write it down. Then we look at our subheadings, Fleming's left-hand rule, moving coil, loudspeakers, and the turning effect of a coil, and we write it down. Then we look at our pictures. Here we have a picture with a circuit going through a magnet. Here we have a picture of Fleming's left-hand rule. There we have a moving coil loudspeaker. Here we have a rotating coil in a magnetic field, and here we have a moving coil meter. And we use all of that, write them down. Okay, then we go for the words in bold, Fleming's left-hand rule. That's the only one here, and we write it down. And lastly, all the side notes, all the interesting things, or the things that the author wants us to know in order to understand this topic, we write them down. And now we have completed our survey. Okay, so now it's time for you to try. I want you to, in your, you go to the next part, electric motors, and I want you to fill in this, your guided notes, fill in the heading, the subheadings, any description of pictures, words in bold, and side notes. Please pause your video here before you continue. Okay, welcome back, and I believe now that you've done this, and this is possibly what you would have gotten. Okay, so now we can go over to the next part, which is questioning, and I'm going to demonstrate to you how we do it. So from our survey, we're going to now turn these phrases that we've written down, our overview of the chapter, we're going to turn into questions. So if I think of magnetic force and a current, how does a current experience a magnetic force? Okay, if I look at the subheadings, Fleming's left-hand rule, okay, or before that, what another question is, what type of magnetic force does a current experience? If I look at Fleming's left-hand rule, why do we use Fleming's left-hand rule? And if we've seen the picture and the words in bold as well, Fleming's left-hand rule, so we can make other questions there. How does it look like? And what is Fleming's left-hand rule? So there's 3 different questions we can ask on that. And then moving coil in a loudspeaker. How does a moving coil in a loudspeaker work? Turning effect of a coil. What is the turning effect of a coil, or what turning effect does a coil experience? From the picture, circuit through a magnet. Why is there a circuit through a magnet? Moving coil in a loudspeaker. Once again, how does the moving coil in a coil speaker produce sound? Circuit turning through a magnetic field. What determines the direction and the speed of the moving coil? Side notes, magnetic essentials. What are the essential concepts I must know about magnets? And force and field. How does a magnetic field produce a force on a current carrying wire? Okay, so now it's your turn. Take your question or statements that you did from the next part and turn them into questions. Please pause the video. Okay, welcome back. Now that you've paused the video, you've turned it in statement. Here are questions that you could have gotten. You can pause the video and look at how yours differs from mine. There's no right or wrong. The idea is just for you to have questions that came from your reading and your survey. Okay, so the next part is to read. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're looking for the first question. How does a current experience a magnetic force? So I'll go to my textbook and I start reading for a specific answer for that question. So I take one question at a time. I read through the work until I get an answer to that question. Then I go back and I say, what type of magnetic force does a current experience? Is it attractive force? Is it repulsive force? And I go read again through all the work until I find that paragraph that explains that answer to that question. And I will do that for every single question that I have now on my list until I have an answer for all of them, if I've read an answer. Okay, so now I want you to do the same. You can do the same, or you can use the questions in your guided notes from the first chapter and the questions in the second chapter. And I want you to read through and gain understanding. Just get your own, be able to put it in your own words, an answer for each of those questions. Thank you very much and have a nice day.